Hello everyone, Fuzzy Barbarian here, and I've been playing a bit of Unto the End, and I haven't seen anyone do a speedrun of this game, so I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. The speedrun doesn't really, the timer I don't think really starts at this point. You do have to press your button to activate the game, and you do have to take those items from them, but I've got no control at this point. The game's on autopilot. He's running off on his own, and the credits come up and some messages come up. So you don't really have any control of your character until after he crosses a stone bridge and that stone bridge breaks. So after that, the timer for the speed run will start. Well, I don't have a timer on screen, so I'm just saying that's when I'll be manually picking the time. Before I do that though, I'm not sure if I've got this in assist mode or default mode. Assist mode assists you in combat. I definitely don't want that for the speed run because that will slow down the combat and therefore slow down the run. So just before I start the run, there is combat speeds default, so that's what we want. And now the run's begun. Now we have control and we're off. I really love this game. I've played it a lot. I've done a couple of flawless runs, but I haven't done a speed run that's flawless. I've had a few shots at running a speed run to try and map out the best path to go. There's a few things you have to know, otherwise you're just not going to complete it. None of those went very well, to be honest, but I did map out what I need to collect to be able to do a speed run, so hopefully that'll go pretty good, or hopefully that will help me out. Basically, I'll try and narrate what I'm doing as I go and what I'm thinking as I go. This part here, you fall down. There's nothing you can do about it. That starts, more or less starts your run to try and escape the caverns to get back to your family, which is what your whole objective is. Here I want to light the torch with the sword, put the sword on my back because it's faster to run without your sword by about 15 to 20%. The reason I lit my torch there is because the game teaches you to light your torch right about there, and if I hadn't done that I would have got like a message and that would have slowed me down a second. Not that it would have mattered a second, but you know, when speedrunners are playing, every second counts. You want to jump on that to fall down like I did there, which is good. Sometimes that gets screwed up. Oh yeah, I just picked up some bones and now I'm picking up some herbs. It's very important to pick up bones and herbs along the run, but nothing else. Everything else will be useless. I won't be upgrading any armor. And like here, I think this is herbs. Yep, okay, I'll tell you why in a moment. First, there's a trap. I'm not sure if you can roll through this trap, so I'm just going to cut it anyway. If you can roll through it, it's probably quicker, but I think I've tried to roll through it a couple of times and died doing it. So unless there's a specific timing that I just haven't grasped yet, I'll just cut that rope every time I try. Now I'm heading up here to get the key to get through the first door of the level. The reason you need to collect herbs and bones is there's two very difficult enemies very much later in the game, about, I don't know, 3/5 of the way through the game. And if you don't have 5 bones to give one and 5 herbs to give another, you will have to fight them to get what they've got, and they're very tough, even tougher for a speed run because I'm not going to be getting any armor. I'm not going to be upgrading any armor. Most bonfires where you can upgrade to armor are out of the way of the speed run. You have to kind of go off the beaten path to get to them, and that's just going to slow things down. The drawback is if I take a hit and start bleeding, I have to let that enemy kill me, because the game has a thing where if you get hit and you bleed out from an enemy, you'll respawn at the start of the enemy that bled you out. Meaning if you could get hit and start bleeding, and if you run for like 10 minutes through the game and you get somewhere else and another enemy kills you, you're still going to spawn back at the enemy that originally put the bleed on you. So that would ruin a speed run right from the start. So if I get hit once, I'm basically, if I'm bleeding too much from that hit, I'm basically got to let the enemy kill me. So I imagine there will be deaths in this run. The chances of doing a flawless speed run, you know, without tons and tons of practice is basically 0 in this game. And the reason it's 0 is the enemies in this game react. There's no real patterns. Enemies react to what you do, and they can react randomly. There's % chances of what they might do. So there's no pattern that you can just plan for. You have to fight. Wait for this trap to go down and then roll around the third rope. There's some bones on this. That's some of the bones we need. Now this next enemy, you don't need to fight him. If we time it well, we can shoulder shove him to the ground, make him chase us, and then he'll fall to his death. So shoulder shoved him to the ground. Now you want to just walk off there, jump off this one, jump off this one, jump across, and then fall down and climb down. He'll fall to his death. Perfect. Now the reason I didn't go off that right ledge onto the ladder is sometimes you can miss the ladder and then fall to your own death, and it's not worth it. For the half a second it takes to jump across to the left ledge, that's I think the preference. I have fallen down there a couple of times though and not died, so if you're lucky you might not die. Now I think we get some herbs here. Yep. And on the other side of the rock I think there's some more of what we need. Might be bones or herbs, I can't remember, but yeah, bones. Okay, so we almost have everything we need. There's only a couple more bones and herbs in specific spots that we have to grab. But now we're coming up to a couple of enemies. These enemies can be tricky. Hopefully it'll go well. Oh, blocked it. Oh, facing the wrong way. Alright, that actually went pretty good. You have to kill those two because there's a door, so you can't unlock the door without the enemies killing you. Okay. Oh, I almost fell. That was almost bad. Just wait. Could have waited a little bit closer, but not worth taking the risk when I'm not really 100% master of this speedrun by any means. Okay, we're coming up to some more enemies. This one is basically the game's version of a mini boss or a boss. Now you can run past him and sometimes you can get past, other times he will catch you, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to kill the guy here, kill him first. With this guy, he has two quick high attacks, so good to try and, if you see the high attack, good to try and duck his second attack, but that was quick, that was really good. Now we're pretty good from this point. There's no real enemies to worry about for a little while. We have a major enemy to kill to get a key. But before that, there's, I think it's herbs along the way to pick up. I really love this game, and I'm not sure if I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to speed run it. There's a few other games I'm wanting to play. You got to be careful dropping off here. Yep, you can fall, you can miss it and fall. There's a few games out, like Neo's latest DLC is out that I also want to play. But I'm hoping this speed run might give some, die-hard speed runners a couple of ideas and help spur the community to start speed running. All right, that's the second last set of herbs we need to pick up. I think that's the second last. Yeah, because I haven't seen anyone speedrun this game, so I'm really hoping that this video shows some people some ideas on how to play the game and start speedrunning it. That would be really cool. Because it doesn't really matter what my time is with this. I think it would be a world record by default of the fact that nobody has speedrun this game. So right now, whoever played the game with the best time, who isn't a speedrunner, has the world record speedrun technically. I think anyway. There's nothing on speedrun.com for it. Alright, so along here, this leads to the first major boss, who, if everything goes smoothly, is actually more predictable than most enemies. He just does the same attacks. You can get a pattern out of this guy. So my strategy is to roll in, do an overhead attack, duck his swipe, hit him, duck his other swipe, hit him and roll through, throw a knife at him, duck his attack, hit him, duck his attack and kill him. And grab the heavy key. So that went pretty smoothly. He's about one of the few enemies in the game that has an absolute pattern that you can 99% of the time roll with like then. And I just realized I left my knife in him, so that's going to be a real problem. That's going to slow me down. Got to be careful here, you can fall to your death if you don't go off carefully. Yeah, I shouldn't have left my knife in him. Would have taken a second to pick it up and would be very helpful in a future fight, in a few future fights. But anyway, we've got a difficult fight, a potentially difficult fight coming up where there are 3 enemies. It's always the multiple enemies that are the biggest challenge. Well, that's not true. The biggest challenge are the major enemies towards the end of the game. But early on, these guys are the biggest challenge. You can backstab in the game though, and enemies that come out from behind you can be backstabbed, so I'll try and kill him that way. Yep, that worked perfectly. Alright. Oh, damn him. Didn't expect him to jump. But you don't take damage when an enemy jumps if you block it, even if you have your sword knocked out of your hand. You do not take damage. And I can't afford to take damage. If I do take damage, I have to die. So there's very little chance of me getting through this until I've run it a few times flawlessly. I have gotten through the whole game flawlessly before, but not speedrunning. Speedrunning changes your whole, I don't know, it just changes my whole mindset, and I just find I don't play as well when I speedrun for some strange reason. I don't know, it's the pressure of the clock maybe. Plus, when you get through flawlessly, you can go through very, very slowly. You know, and you can study and plan what you're up against, but speedrunning, you can't afford to take a breather. And, you know, I beat old warrior mode, which is permadeath mode, but in that, as you're going along, you don't have to do it flawlessly, so long as you don't die, and you can help yourself from not dying by just upgrading to your maximum armor level as you proceed early on in the game, allowing you to take a few hits, and then you can rest and restore your health at bonfires. But I won't be able to restore my health at any bonfires. That's it. We've seen all the bonfires that we'll be seeing, except for one, which is, I think about, yeah, after a major enemy that you have to get past with a totem. But even then, I don't want to stop at bonfires because they take time. By the way, if you think the combat in this is one dimension, oh, this guy, he's not going to attack you if you just keep running straight forward. He's never attacked me while I keep running. And in fact, the next enemy is the same. If you have your sword out, they'll attack you and throw things at you, but if you have your sword on your back, you can just run right past them. Bye. Now we're coming up to another major, one of those Yeti bosses. This one can easily one-hit you. Not that one-hitting you matters when you have to die if you take just a single hit, but we have to hope that he just swing. The best thing is if he has a shot at you with his spear down low. If he swings the deer, the timing's a bit more finicky, but if he does perfect, he did the spear. So if he swings the deer, your timing has to be pretty much pinpoint to get through that. But the spear is much easier, so that was lucky. Now there's a trap just ahead. As soon as you step on the second rock, you have to dodge away. Light my torch here because you already had to stop, and always put the sword on the back to get that 15 to 20% extra movement speed. Down this ladder. There's an enemy at the bottom here that you have to kill, you can't run past, and it's important to kill this enemy because he drops the last herb that we need along the way to get the 5 herbs that we need for the final guy. He's pretty easy to beat too. So we now have enough herbs to get through the whole game. No need to pick... Oh, actually there might be one more. Sorry, no, there's one more. Fortunately, the developers have put all the herbs in the right places. So there's 2 enemies here. I want to rush forward and kill this guy real quick before the main boss enemy comes. Alright, good. He's not a boss. He's just got a big club. If you're looking for the sword chain, it's up the left here. Just go up the left where those rocks fell out. If you have the sword chain, it stops your sword from being knocked out of your hand by enemies. Good item to get if you're struggling with having your sword knocked out of your hand. By the way, I'm skipping a lot of the game for this speedrun. There's lots of places you can go, lots of items you can collect, and a lot more enemies you can fight. But yeah, skipping everything we don't need to do, but I'm going for the good ending, not the bad ending, which is basically the ending you get if you run the game in the fastest possible way anyway. As long as you don't screw up and hurt someone you shouldn't. Now this next bit can be a bit tricky. If it goes well, it goes well, but sometimes there's a spear guy and sometimes he can decide to throw his spear, or he has a bunch of spears on his back basically, and you want to get one of those spears, but if he decides to throw them all at you, you'll have to go back and find them, which will cost time, so you want to get as close to him as possible to prevent that from happening. So he's got 2 spears on his back. I want to make sure I stay close and he doesn't throw them at me. But that went perfect. So I get one of those spears and we're good to go. And the reason I want that spear is it'll make an enemy that we come up against later easier to kill. There's a tough enemy that takes a while to kill, but with a spear, if you're lucky, you can one-shot him. If you're unlucky, it will still take like 90% of his health. Really helpful to have this spear. It's not essential, but for time, really helpful. Now this guy, if you give him herbs, he will give you a woad, or I don't know how you say it, woad kipu, something like that. And you can use that later to bypass having to fight 2 other enemies. Woad Kipu. And now we can go. The final, I think it's a herb that we need, the final item to pick up is along here. It's on a bridge, on a body on a bridge before the next tough enemy. So far the run's going pretty good, pretty happy with this run. We haven't had any slowdown at all. I did accidentally leave my dagger, so this guy here has the herbs. So pretty happy with that. We have all the herbs we need now to not fight one of the tough enemies. So this is the guy we want the spear for. Did that just go straight through him? I think it did. It's not sticking out of him. Well, that's unfortunate. And I have to die. As soon as he hit me, I would bleed out. If I didn't allow myself to die there, even if I beat him, I would bleed out. So that was unfortunate with the spear. I'm pretty sure it went through him without even hitting him, because he turned at that moment. That's what should have happened. And that's how it should have gone the first time. So that was a bit unfortunate. I didn't need to get the sticks off him. That just wasted time. Okay. Need some light. So fortunately you respawn pretty close to that enemy, so you know, getting hit by him's not that big a drama. And these are the guys you show the Woad Kipu to, and then you won't have to fight them to get past into the elevator. If you don't get this and don't show them that, your speedrun's going to be very difficult because they're not easy. Not easy to beat. Basically, you want to not fight as many things as you can. You want to run past as many things as you can, and I want to not fight as many enemies as possible. Now there's no enemies to fight here so long as you've collected 5 herbs and 5 bones. If you don't have 5 herbs and 5 bones, then you'll be fighting. Both of these guys, the guy on the left requires 5 herbs, the guy on the right requires 5 bones, and if you give either of them less than what they require, they'll get angry and attack you, and they are not easy, especially if you have no armor. They basically can one-shot you and you'll die. But even, you know, that just getting hit once in a speedrun without armor means death anyway. But if you're playing a normal game and you have to fight them even with full armor, they're very, very hard. So 5 bones for this fella. Now he'll give us a pristine shard, which is completely useless. We don't need it at all. But the thing is, if you don't take the pristine shard from him and you give the herbs to the other guy first that's going to give us what we actually want, the other guy will give us the pristine shard. And then you would have to come back here, I think, and try to get the totem that we need off him, which would really slow you down. If he even gives it, you might actually have to fight him to get it at that point because you didn't do it in the right order. Not really sure about that entirely, but I do know that if you go to this guy first and give him herbs, he's going to give you the pristine shard and screw everything up. So you get the pristine shard first. That guarantees you that you'll get the totem we want from this guy. And it's the it's called a Wanderer's Totem, and you use it to get past a big boss that you cannot fight or defeat. So you absolutely have to get this Wanderer's Totem. And if you don't have 5 herbs, the only way to get it is to kill. And that takes time, if you can even do it without armor. It takes a lot of skill to beat these guys. They're really, really hard. Alright, so that's the Wanderer's Totem. We got that without any fighting. And now we can go and get past the giant serpent thing. This game is very cool. The combat is really deep. In this speedrun, I'm just doing like basic combat stuff for safety, but if you have a look on Steam, the devs have put a combat mastery guide of tips and tricks in a post there, and there's just so much to the combat that you can't even possibly realize without reading that post. Learning all the different nuances and abilities you have, it's not even taught to you in the training. There's more to the combat than what you do in the training. So you have to show the Wanderer's Totem to this thing. Nothing else to do. It'll leave us alone and we can move on. So right now this speedrun is going great. We haven't had a major hiccup. 1 death and I lost the dagger, which is a bit of a problem, but you don't need the dagger. It would just make things a little bit easier. You can kill enemies faster with close dagger swipes, and you can get them from a distance and knock them down when they jump. Unfortunately, I have screwed that up. Oh, I don't know why it's not grabbing there. I'm saying this is going really well though, but the real challenge is yet to come. The next stretch when we get out of here is full of really tough enemies, and they've got a lot of variance to how they might attack to what they will do, and there's no combat assist on with this speedrun, so you've got to be really, your eyes got to be really in to react to them fast enough, and sometimes you just can't. Sometimes it's so fast that, well, I can't anyway, but you know, Sometimes it's just they'll kill you or they won't. Sometimes it's because, I don't know, sometimes I think my controller doesn't work properly. Most of the time it's because I don't react properly, like I think they're going to do something. Other times I think the bosses might even have the ability to feint. I'll have to check on that with the devs, but sometimes I feel like the bosses like put their weapon out in a certain way and then do something else. There might be a feint system in there, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, this next enemy is going to be, it's a problem because the screen can get covered up by that rock and it's hard to see what he's doing. Oh, he hit me. I gotta die. Damn. Too busy talking. That rock in the middle of the screen sometimes obscures your vision, or often obscures your vision. But if you wait to fight him in the area that's clear, that's not obscured, you've got nowhere to roll backwards. So I've kind of got to run forward if I stand here so I can... Oh, I tried to throw my dagger. I forgot I didn't have it. I mean, he's not a hard enemy, this one. He pretty much only has low and high attacks. So the fact that he beat me before was just me not playing very well. I like to blame my controller sometimes and the game sometimes, but it's typically me. Now this guy, he's also... he can be a problem sometimes too. Sometimes he'll run at you and attack, and sometimes he'll sometimes he'll jump, and it's hard to get prepared for what he's going to do. Like, he didn't jump then. Yeah, I've got to let him kill me. I shouldn't block. Once an enemy hits me, I should just stop, not even fight anymore. So that didn't go well. Normally I would kill this guy straight away. This guy's not really a problem. But this is actually the worst place to die repeatedly because you have to wait for the cutscene. So this, is cutting in lots of... he jumped. This is cutting in lots of... Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, that's why I think this guy is like... There's two stresses to this guy. One, if you die, you're going to have to wait for the cutscene again, and that costs you time. And the other one is you kind of wait for him to jump, and sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. And in that one time that he does, it usually kind of throws you off a bit. That he jumped there. Oh, he almost hit me too. Oh man, this is not going well. I've pretty much screwed up this run right here. What have I lost? Probably a minute already. Alright, I'm not going to talk. I'm going to focus. I have to beat him. I mean, my aim for this run is to do less than 35 minutes. That would be a good start. And that's how easy it should have been if I just focused. Oh. But that's one cool thing about this game. The enemies are reactive. There's no real patterns. You're not really 100% sure of what they're going to do, and they learn. If you get them with something, they don't allow you to get them with it again generally. They're reactive too. Now this guy, he's the real problem. I usually find he just gives me so much trouble depending on what he does with his flail. Oh man, yeah, that was me. It was obvious he was going to use the flail on the bottom, a low strike, and I fumbled it. Oh, no, it didn't really hurt. See how I'm only bleeding a little bit? That's not enough blood to bleed out, so I can not let him kill me. I can still fight, and I should be fine. There's no health bar in this game, but you have to take notice of how much blood you have on your body, and I really have a bit of a trickle there. I don't have that much blood, so I think I'm pretty safe to run forward. And I think there's herbs. I think I've got enough herbs at this point. There's nothing else to give anyone, so if it does get worse, I can slow the bleeding with some herbs. I don't want to get it to get too worse though, because I'll get a warning about bleeding, and that warning stays up on the screen for ages, and you can't take it off until it goes off by itself. So that would slow the run right down. I don't want that, so I have to keep my eye on my blood here. But yeah, that didn't go as... Those last two fights did not go as well as I would have hoped. Now, you want to grab this spear. Reason why, and I want to save the spear for the final boss. If I have the spear, then I can make the final boss go a lot faster. Oh, damn it, I went to roll through there. I've got to climb. That would have given me a little bit more pain on as well. I'm probably bleeding more than I was, so that's not good. I will need to use herbs at some point, probably. Maybe not, but just in case. So, yeah, this guy, he can be trouble or he can be quick. And he's random, so... Oh, I shouldn't have rolled again. No, that was stupid. Yeah, I knew I was dead the moment I rolled again. I'm making myself fumble the last half of this speed run. Like I said, this guy can be... He's difficult because he can jump in, jump out, and you don't really know what he's going to do. I'm not going to roll... Oh, can I... Yeah, is he... Oh, there you go. See, I thought he was going to go way back, and he didn't, and he did a high attack, and I wasn't ready for it because I was sure he was going to go way back and do a low attack. So that random aspect made that... Yeah, that was me anticipating rather than reacting, and in this game you have to react. You can't pattern, pretend for a pat or hope for a pattern. You have to react. You have to react. Oh dear. Alright, well that's... Well, actually the time doesn't look too bad. My aim is to get less than 35 minutes. And if I can do less than 35 minutes, I'm happy, because with all these mistakes I've been making, it would mean that a good speed run could be, I don't know, maybe 33 minutes, maybe a bit less. If you can get a speed run towards a 30-minute mark, that'd be great. Yeah, this is what I thought he was going to do a moment ago. Go all the way back and lunge in for a low attack. So he tricked me. But still, it's not too bad spawning in front of him over and over. It would have been better to kill him fast, but it is what it is. The fights here have cost us quite a bit of time, which is a bit sad because the first half went really well. But it doesn't matter. As long as we can beat 35 minutes, I'd be pretty happy. Alright, so from here we have no more attacks, no more enemies at all. We have to get to the boss. It's a bit of a walk though, and I'm not sure how my bleeding is going. It looks like I'm bleeding more because I rolled into that rock instead of jumped it. I have to be careful. I have made it to the boss before and then died from bleed out. Usually you have more blood on you than what I have here, but I have died at the boss before from bleed out and then respawned way back as far back as that flail guy, which just completely ruins a run. So I think I can hear it. Is that a drum? That is a drum. That drum signifies that you're not healthy, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's a boss approaching drum, even though we're approaching the last boss. I think that's... Either way, I'm starting to panic. I'm going to take some herbs. I think I should take some herbs. Oh, and I've completely forgotten about my torch. I'm not going back for it. We'll run in the dark. We're almost at the end anyway. So I really want this fight to go fast to make up for all the mistakes, because usually this is the fight that will slow you down, because this guy's the hardest guy in the game. Or maybe the flail guy is, but I think maybe this guy. Oh, that was beautiful. That couldn't have gone any better. That really couldn't have gone any better. Sometimes you can die on that guy multiple times. So that's beautiful. But we don't have our torch, so that was the final enemy in the game. We have to run through all the darkness, but there's no traps, there's no enemies, there's nowhere to fall, so I can run through this darkness just fine. And I think we're going to do this in about 34 minutes and a bit. So definitely less than 35. And with all those mistakes shows that we could definitely do sub 33, no problem. And with a few tricks and studying a few of the areas, probably 32 minutes would be quite doable. As far as stop the timer for the speedrun goes, we have control of our character all the way until a certain rock in a moment. And you can see we have a blue sky there, so we also got the good ending of the game. So that's good. Could have gone better, but still not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Future speedruns can go better, learning from this one. So this rock coming up, as soon as you pass right here, that's it. I've lost control of the game now. We finished play. Nothing more we can do. He's walking by himself. That's all automated. This is the end of the game where your character walks to his family's house, and because it's the good ending, sees that they're there alive and waiting for him, and kneels down with happiness, basically, or exhaustion, or a bit of both. But yeah, I think that was about 34.5 minutes. I actually thought that wasn't going to be that good given the amount of times I screwed up the fights. It's funny, you know, I've done all of those fights flawless, but speedruns change everything because you're very much focused on trying to do it quick rather than trying to do it well. And also the game's reactive AI, they can do different things. You can't expect exact patterns for a lot of the enemies, which makes it tough but interesting. And that's it. He sees his wife is coming out with a torch to meet him, and yeah, the credits will roll. There are actually 3 endings in this game. This is the first one. There's a second one where this doesn't go so well, and there's a third one which is the old warrior mode where it's very similar to this but slightly different. I've got videos on those if you want to actually see them, or just play through on your own. One is harm, don't do any harm to anyone. The other one you'll get by doing harm to everyone, and the third one you'll get just by surviving permadeath mode. Anyway, that was a pretty good speed run. I think a lot can be learned from that. If you're doing any other speed runs, feel free to post a comment and let me know. I'd be interested to see them. This is a great game. Absolutely love it. I've played it to death though, so probably time for me to take a break and play the latest Neo 2 DLC, which just came out today, I think. But yeah, I love this game. Check out the Combat Mastery Guide on Steam. I'll put a link in the description for it actually. And thanks for watching.